What is up, guys? I'm back here with another video today, and I'm talking about how I learned Python in 21 days. And when I mean learned Python, I don't mean like I became like went from zero to expert in 21 days, but I got comfortable with it to the point that I could work through a machine learning course and not get stuck on a bunch of syntax errors and actually be able to like absorb the information and learn about machine learning, rather than learning a bunch of syntax errors. So anyway, the first thing I did, it all started off, I took Udacity's Intro to Python. And I highly recommend that course for learning Python, at least for starting out. And I dedicated the same time every day to learning. During this time, I studied Python from 6:30 to 10:30 a.m. every day. And I'm not saying that to brag or anything. I'm just saying, like, I really think dedicating the same time. I understand people have various complex schedules, but if you can't, if as at all possible, dedicate the same time each day to learning Python. It doesn't matter what time it is, so much as it's consistent and like, okay, now I'm gonna get in my zone and work on Python, and basically all I'm gonna focus on right now is Python, or if you're learning a different language, maybe Java or C++ instead, but the same concept. So those are two things I did really well looking back. And the other thing, this is kind of a mistake, but I would say it was definitely a better mistake to make between all the mistakes. And this was when I was learning in the course. So I would learn a concept. Maybe I would learn about for loops. I learn functions. I learn while loops or something. And then there would be exercises, coding exercises, and I'd follow along writing the code, and then I would code it up again and again. I keep trying until I finally coded the exercise without looking. And I thought, okay, well, this is good, because now, I'm not just sitting here in a lecture taking in information, I'm applying it, I'm actually doing it. And I would sometimes experiment a little bit with like trying things a little differently than the exercise, and seeing how it would go. I think I did a little bit of that. I wish I probably should have done more of that. If I could go back, I would have done more of that. But another big thing I would have done more of is not just memorizing the code, because what happens is it was just training my root memory to just basically retain the information just long enough to type it out without looking, and then I'd probably forget it again. So instead of doing that, I would recommend you learn the topics and go through the topics in the order that the course has it all put together for you. But then as you're learning about each topic, like as you're learning about if statements, as you're learning about for loops, as you're learning about while loops, you can look up the same exact topics, or the same little like Python methods and functions and stuff on a website like Geeks for Geeks or W3 Schools, which basically provide very basic documentation for a wide range of programming languages. So even if you're not learning Python, this would still apply. And they have like these little blogs explaining kind of like why the code looks the way it is, and like what these methods actually do. So I would say going through one of those sites while going through the course would have definitely helped me out more. So and like I'm saying, I wish I spent more time experimenting with code, and I wish I spent more time understanding why the code kind of had the general structure that it did, or looked the way that it did. Like why are there parentheses here? Why are these parentheses empty? Why do these parentheses have stuff passed in them? Why is there a dot here? Stuff like that. So that's basically what I've got to say on how I learned Python in 21 days. And before I go, I'm just going to kind of illustrate how much time doing this saved me for, in relation to my goal of learning machine learning. Because it took me 21 days to do that, learn Python to that level, and then It took me about 40 days to get through the machine learning course. But if I just went straight into the course, I'm not even kidding, it probably would have taken like 200 days. 200 days. Like 5 times as long. And I probably wouldn't have even learned as much machine learning because I would have just been all focused on syntax errors. So anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you in the next one.